My name doesn't matter, but let's call me Maya. I'm 34 years old, and until very recently, I was a senior data analyst at a mid-sized pharmaceutical company in New Jersey. I'd been with the company for 7 years, working my way up from a junior analyst position, and I was good at my job. Really good. The kind of good where you consistently deliver results, solve problems nobody else can crack, and make the people above you look brilliant. That last part is important, because making my boss look brilliant became the defining feature of my career for 3 years. And not in the normal supporting your manager way. In the my boss literally stole my work and passed it off as her own way. Let me start from the beginning. I joined the company right out of grad school in 2018. I have a master's in biostatistics, and I was excited to work for a pharmaceutical company doing drug efficacy analysis. The work was challenging, the pay was decent, and I felt like I was contributing to something meaningful, helping bring life-saving medications to market. My first manager, Robert, was great. He mentored me, gave me interesting projects, and made sure I got credit for my work. When I did a particularly complex analysis that helped push a drug through phase 3 trials, Robert made sure my name was on the report and that I presented the findings to the executive team. I got a bonus and a promotion to senior analyst after 2 years. Then Robert retired in early 2021, and everything changed. The company hired an external candidate to replace him, Jennifer Morrison. Jennifer came from a competitor company with an impressive resume: 15 years of experience, multiple successful drug launches, glowing recommendations. She was in her mid-40s, polished, articulate, and confident. In her first week, she gave a presentation about her vision for the analytics department that had everyone, including me, impressed and optimistic. For the first few months, things seemed fine. Jennifer was hands-off, which I appreciated. She'd assign projects, check in periodically, and let me do my work. I thought I'd lucked out with another good manager. Then came the Project Helios situation, and that's when I started to notice something was wrong. Project Helios was a major initiative analyzing real-world effectiveness data for one of our blockbuster drugs. The company had invested millions in collecting patient outcome data, and we needed to analyze it to support the drug's continued market dominance. It was a high-visibility project that would be presented to the board of directors. Jennifer assigned it to me in June 2021. She said, "This is a big one, Maya. I'm counting on you." I was excited. This was exactly the kind of project that could lead to another promotion. I spent 3 months on Project Helios. I designed the statistical models, cleaned massive datasets, ran complex analyses, created visualizations, and wrote a comprehensive report. I worked nights and weekends. I caught errors that would have invalidated the results. I consulted with clinical experts to make sure my interpretations were sound. It was some of the best work I'd ever done. When I finished, I sent Jennifer the complete report: 60 pages of analysis, charts, and recommendations. She scheduled a meeting for us to review it together before presenting to the executives. But the review meeting never happened. Jennifer kept rescheduling, saying she was too busy. Then, a week later, I saw a calendar invitation for a board presentation titled Project Helios Results presented by Jennifer Morrison. My name wasn't mentioned anywhere. I went to her office. "Jennifer, I saw the board presentation is scheduled. Should I prepare to present my findings?" She looked at me with what I can only describe as practiced sympathy. "Oh, Maya. I appreciate all your hard work on this project, but board presentations need to be delivered by senior leadership. You understand, right? This is just how it works at this level." "But it's my analysis," I said. "My work." "It's the department's work," she corrected. "You did the technical execution, which was great, but I provided the strategic direction and oversight. That's what the board needs to hear about." I felt sick, but I didn't know what to do. She was my boss. Maybe this was how it worked at higher levels. Maybe I was being naive about corporate politics. The board presentation happened. I wasn't invited to attend, but I heard about it through colleagues. Apparently, Jennifer had taken my 60-page report, put her name on it, and presented it as her own work. She got a standing ovation. The CEO personally congratulated her on her brilliant analysis. She got a $20,000 bonus and a promotion to Director of Analytics. I got an email from her saying great team effort on Helios. That was my first clue that Jennifer Morrison was a fraud. Over the next 2 years, the pattern repeated itself over and over. Jennifer would assign me high-profile projects, I'd do exceptional work, and she'd present it as her own. She developed a reputation as a genius analyst, a rising star in the company. Meanwhile, I remained a senior analyst, getting cost of living raises but no real advancement. Here are some examples. Project Phoenix, Fall 2021. I developed a predictive model for drug side effects that could save the company millions in Phase 3 trial failures. Jennifer presented it to the FDA liaison team. She got another bonus. I got a thank you email. Market Analysis Initiative, Spring 2022. I created a comprehensive competitive analysis that shaped the company's 3-year strategy. Jennifer presented it to the executive team and was invited to join the strategic planning committee. I wasn't even told my work was being used. Patient Outcome Study, Winter 2022. I designed and executed a study that became the basis for a major marketing campaign. Jennifer presented at an industry conference and was featured in a pharmaceutical trade journal. The article quoted her extensively about her methodology and her insights. Those were my methodologies and my insights, word for word from my reports. Cost Optimization Project, Summer 2023. I found inefficiencies in our clinical trial processes that could save $15 million annually. Jennifer presented my findings to the board. The CEO called her a visionary leader. She got promoted to senior director and a significant raise. Each time, I told myself I should speak up. But each time, I talked myself out of it. Jennifer was politically connected within the company. She had the CEO's ear. She was popular with the board. Who would believe me? And even if they did believe me, would it matter? I'd look like a whiner, a troublemaker, someone who didn't understand how corporate hierarchies work. But the breaking point came 6 months ago, in May 2024. I was assigned to lead the analysis for Project Artemis, the most important initiative the company had undertaken in a decade. We were seeking FDA approval for a breakthrough cancer drug, and my analysis would be critical in demonstrating its efficacy and safety. This wasn't just high profile, this was potentially historic. If approved, this drug could save thousands of lives. I spent 4 months on Project Artemis. It was the most complex work of my career. I collaborated with oncologists, ran sophisticated statistical models, analyzed data from multiple clinical trials, and created presentations that could convince the FDA's advisory committee. I barely slept. I gained 10 pounds from stress eating. My boyfriend complained that I was never present. But I didn't care, because I was doing work that mattered, work that would save lives. In early September, I delivered my complete analysis to Jennifer. Over 400 pages of reports, models, datasets, presentations, and recommendations. It was brilliant. I knew it was brilliant. This was Nobel Prize-worthy work. Okay, maybe not literally, but you know what I mean. This was the kind of work that defined careers. Jennifer scheduled a review meeting, but once again, she kept canceling. After the 3rd cancellation, I got suspicious. I'd been down this road before. So I did something that I'm not entirely proud of, but that turned out to be the smartest decision of my career. I placed a small audio recorder in the conference room where Jennifer did most of her work. It's one of those voice-activated devices that people use for lectures and meetings. I told myself I just wanted to protect myself, to have documentation of conversations in case she tried to throw me under the bus if something went wrong with the project. I know what you're thinking, isn't that illegal? Isn't that unethical? Here's the thing, New Jersey is a one-party consent state, which means you can record conversations you're part of. But even if I'm not in the room, well, we'll get to the legal implications later. Let's just say my lawyer has confirmed I'm in the clear, barely. The audio recorder captured 3 critical conversations over the following 2 weeks. Conversation 1, Jennifer on the phone with someone, likely her husband. She said, and I quote, "Maya handed in the Artemis analysis yesterday. It's gold. Absolute gold. I'm going to present it at the board meeting next month and ride this all the way to VP. The best part is she has no idea how good it actually is. She thinks it's just another project." Conversation 2, Jennifer meeting with David, another senior analyst in our department. She told him she needed him to create a PowerPoint presentation for the board based on her Artemis analysis. She literally handed him my report with my name removed and her name added. David, bless him, said, "Jennifer, this is clearly Maya's work. Her name should be on this." Jennifer responded, "Maya did the technical execution. I provided the strategic vision and oversight. This is my project. Make the slides. Conversation 3, this was the one that made my blood boil. Jennifer was on a call with the CEO, Richard, discussing the upcoming board meeting. Richard said, "I'm so impressed with your work on Artemis, Jennifer. You've really revolutionized our analytics capabilities." Jennifer responded, "Thank you, Richard. I have to be honest, it's been challenging. The team struggles with the complexity of this work, so I've had to do most of the heavy lifting myself. But I believe in the mission, so I don't mind putting in the extra hours. I've had to do most of the heavy lifting myself. That lying, credit stealing, fraudulent piece of. I'm getting angry just writing this. But here's where it gets interesting. That audio recording wasn't just about protecting myself. It became about something bigger. See, I started asking around quietly. I talked to other analysts in the department, former employees who'd worked under Jennifer, people at her previous company. And I discovered something shocking, I wasn't the only one. Jennifer had built her entire career on stealing other people's work. At her previous company, she'd taken credit for a junior analyst's breakthrough on a diabetes drug. That analyst quit in frustration and left the industry entirely. Another analyst who worked under Jennifer for 2 years told me she'd developed severe anxiety and imposter syndrome because Jennifer constantly told her that her work was good but not board level while simultaneously presenting that exact work to executives. Jennifer Morrison was a professional credit thief. She'd perfected a system, hire smart people, assign them complex projects, take their work, present it as her own, and gaslight them into thinking this was normal. She'd done it for years, across multiple companies, and she'd risen to senior leadership on the backs of people she'd exploited. I couldn't let her do it anymore. Not to me, and not to anyone else. So I made a plan. The board meeting for Project Artemis was scheduled for October 15, 2024. Jennifer was set to present her analysis at 2 p.m. Board meetings at our company included the CEO, the board of directors, executive leadership, and occasionally other key personnel if their work was being discussed. I did something audacious, I requested to attend the meeting. I emailed the CEO's executive assistant and said that as the lead analyst on Project Artemis, I felt it was important to be available to answer technical questions during the presentation. The EA checked with the CEO, and to my surprise, he approved it. He even emailed me directly, "Maya, I've heard great things about your work from Jennifer. Please join us for the presentation." Jennifer was not happy when she found out I'd be attending. She called me into her office and said, "Why did you request to attend the board meeting?" "In case there are technical questions," I said innocently. "I can handle technical questions," she said. "But you didn't do the analysis," I replied. "I did. Wouldn't it be better if I answered questions about my own work?" Her face tightened. "Maya, I need you to remember something. In corporate environments, credit flows upward. I'm your manager. Your work is my work. That's how organizations function. Is that how they functioned at your previous company too?" I asked. She went pale. "What does that mean?" "Nothing," I said. "I'll see you at the board meeting." October 15 arrived. I dressed in my best suit, brought my laptop and a small folder with documentation, and headed to the executive boardroom. It was the first time I'd ever been in that room. Mahogany table, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Very impressive. Very intimidating. The board members arrived. The CEO, Richard. The CFO, the CMO, the head of R&D, 7 board members. Including the chairman. And Jennifer, looking confident and polished in a designer suit, carrying a presentation remote. Jennifer began her presentation. She put up slides that I recognized immediately. They were based on my work, my visualizations, my analysis. But all the credit went to the analytics team under my leadership, or simply our analysis. My name wasn't mentioned once. She talked about methodology, my methodology. She explained findings, my findings. She made jokes about the challenges of the analysis, challenges that I had faced and overcome, not her. The board was eating it up. They were nodding, smiling, asking intelligent questions that Jennifer answered by regurgitating things I'd written in my reports. Then the CEO said, "Jennifer, this is extraordinary work. Your insights on the efficacy data are groundbreaking. How did you develop this analytical approach?" Jennifer smiled. "Well, Richard, it required a lot of late nights and creative problem solving. I consulted with several oncologists, studied similar trials, and developed a novel statistical framework that. I stood up. Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Everyone turned to look at me. Jennifer's face showed pure panic for a split second before she composed herself. Yes, Maya, the CEO said. I apologize for the interruption, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. But I feel I need to clarify something. The analytical approach Jennifer just described, I developed it. The novel statistical framework she mentioned, I created it. The consultations with oncologists, I conducted them. Every single element of the analysis she's presented today was executed by me, not by Jennifer. The room went silent. Jennifer's face turned red. Maya, this is not the time or place. Actually, it's exactly the time and place, I said. I opened my folder and pulled out documents. I have documentation showing that I was solely responsible for Project Artemis. Emails assigning me the project. My original reports. Communications with clinical experts. Time logs showing I worked over 600 hours on this analysis. The CEO looked confused. Jennifer, what is going on? Jennifer tried to recover. Richard, Maya is clearly confused about corporate hierarchy. She did excellent technical work, but I provided the strategic oversight and. That's not true, I interrupted. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the boardroom's presentation system. With your permission, I'd like to play some audio recordings that provide context. The CEO looked at the board chairman, who nodded. Go ahead. I played the 3 recordings. Jennifer's voice filled the boardroom. Maya handed in the Artemis analysis yesterday. It's gold. Absolute gold. I'm going to present it at the board meeting next month and ride this all the way to VP. Maya did the technical execution. I provided the strategic vision and oversight. This is my project. The team struggles with the complexity of this work, so I've had to do most of the heavy lifting myself. When the recordings finished, the silence was deafening. Every single person was staring at Jennifer. The CEO's face had gone from confused to furious. The board chairman was making notes. Jennifer tried to speak. Those recordings are out of context. They're not, I said. And Project Artemis isn't the only example. I handed out packets. I'd prepared documentation of every major project I'd worked on under Jennifer's management, showing my work being presented as hers. Project Helios. Project Phoenix. The Market Analysis Initiative. Everything. I also included testimonials from 3 former employees who'd experienced similar credit theft under Jennifer's management. I've spent 3 years watching Jennifer Morrison build her career on other people's work, I said. My work. And I've learned that I'm not the only victim. She's done this throughout her career, exploiting talented people and passing their work off as her own. I'm done being silent about it. The CEO stood up. This meeting is adjourned. Jennifer, please come with me. Maya, please wait here. Jennifer and the CEO left the room. The board members began talking in hushed tones. One of them, an older woman named Patricia, came over to me. That took courage, she said. I've been on this board for 12 years, and I've never seen anything like this. I didn't know what else to do, I admitted. My hands were shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off and reality was setting in. I'd just publicly accused my boss of fraud in front of the board of directors. This could go very badly. 30 minutes later, the CEO returned without Jennifer. He asked the board members to give us the room, and suddenly it was just me and Richard, the CEO. Maya, he said, sitting down across from me. I need you to tell me everything. From the beginning. So I did. I told him about 3 years of stolen credit, gaslighting, and exploitation. I showed him all my documentation. I explained why I'd felt powerless to come forward earlier. I even told him about the other analysts who'd suffered under Jennifer's management. Richard listened to everything. When I finished, he said, "Why didn't you come to HR? Or to me?" "Because Jennifer is politically connected," I said honestly. "She has relationships with executives. She's charming and impressive in meetings. I'm a data analyst who does good work but doesn't have powerful allies." Who would you have believed? He didn't have an answer for that. "I'm going to be honest with you," Richard said. "What you did today, recording conversations, bringing this to a board meeting instead of through proper channels, that was risky. It could have backfired spectacularly." "I know," I said. But I was out of options. And this wasn't just about me. It was about making sure she couldn't do this to anyone else. Richard nodded slowly. Jennifer has been terminated, effective immediately. We're conducting a full investigation into her conduct, and we'll be reviewing all projects she claimed credit for. If we find evidence of systematic fraud, we'll be taking further action. I felt a wave of relief so strong I almost cried. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, he said. This is going to be complicated. We have projects in flight that we thought were Jennifer's work but were apparently yours. We have board presentations and investor communications based on false attribution. This is a mess, Maya. A huge mess. I understand, I said. But you did the right thing bringing it forward, he continued. And your work on Project Artemis, the real story of how it was completed, is genuinely extraordinary. The board was already impressed when they thought Jennifer did it. Now that we know you did it, we're even more impressed. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, things have moved quickly. Jennifer was escorted out of the building that same day. The company launched a formal investigation that confirmed everything I'd alleged. They reviewed 3 years of projects and found that approximately 80% of Jennifer's claimed achievements were actually done by me or other team members. The company also discovered that Jennifer had falsified parts of her resume. She didn't actually have some of the credentials she'd claimed, and one of her successful drug launches at her previous company had actually been led by someone else. Last week, I was promoted to Director of Analytics, the position Jennifer had held. I got a 60% raise, a significant bonus, and an official apology from the CEO in front of the entire analytics department. They also gave me back pay for bonuses I should have received for projects Jennifer stole credit for, over $75,000. I'm also being sent to present Project Artemis at an industry conference next month, and I'll be listed as the lead author on the published paper. But the most satisfying part? The company added my name retroactively to all the projects Jennifer had presented as her own. They issued corrections to board minutes, updated internal documentation, and even published a correction to the trade journal article, noting that the methodology described was developed by me, not Jennifer. My new office has windows. It has a door. It has a view of the city. And when I sit at my desk, I don't feel invisible anymore. The legal situation is still unfolding. Jennifer is threatening to sue for wrongful termination, but the company's lawyers aren't worried. The documentation is overwhelming. There's also talk that other companies she's worked for are reviewing her projects to see if she engaged in similar fraud there. As for me, I've learned some important lessons. Document everything. If I hadn't kept meticulous records of my work, I wouldn't have been able to prove anything. Trust your gut. I knew something was wrong for 3 years, but I second-guessed myself because I didn't want to seem difficult or paranoid. Sometimes you have to take risks. Standing up in that board meeting could have ended my career. Instead, it saved it. Credit theft is more common than people think. Since my story got around the company, 3 other people have come forward with similar experiences with different managers. The company is now implementing new policies to ensure proper attribution of work. Now, I know some people will say what I did was unethical. Recording conversations, ambushing my boss in a board meeting, going outside proper channels. And maybe they're right. Maybe I should have gone to HR first, or tried harder to resolve it through official processes. But here's the thing, those systems are designed to protect the company and people in power, not individual employees. HR exists to prevent liability, not to ensure justice. If I'd gone to HR, Jennifer would have been told about the complaint, she would have had time to cover her tracks and create a narrative where I was a disgruntled employee who didn't understand corporate hierarchies. I'd have been managed out of the company within 6 months. So yes, I went nuclear. I recorded conversations that exposed the truth. I interrupted a board meeting. I forced the company to confront an uncomfortable reality in the most public way possible. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because here's what I want everyone reading this to understand: if you're being exploited, if someone is stealing your work, if you're being gaslit into thinking that's just how things work, it's not. That's not normal. That's not acceptable. And you have more power than you think. You might not have the perfect documentation like I did. You might not have the opportunity to expose it in a board meeting. But you have your voice, and your voice matters. Since this happened, I've been contacted by women, mostly women, though some men too, from other companies telling me their own credit theft stories. It's heartbreaking how common this is, especially for women in STEM fields and people of color in corporate environments. We do the work, someone else takes the credit, and we're told that's just how it works. It's not how it has to work. I'm not saying everyone should secretly record their boss and crash board meetings. But I am saying, document your work. Keep records. Don't let people gaslight you into thinking your contributions don't matter. And if you're being systematically exploited, find a way to make it stop. You deserve credit for your work. You deserve recognition. You deserve to have your name on the things you create. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So that's my story, Reddit. I exposed my credit-stealing boss at a board meeting, she got fired, and I got her job. Some people at the company think I'm a hero. Some think I'm a troublemaker who should have handled it differently. I honestly don't care what they think. I know I did the right thing. And every morning when I walk into my new office, the one with windows and a door and my name on it, I'm reminded that standing up for yourself, even when it's terrifying, is always worth it.